Yeah, true. We touched upon ARIMA a little bit. Let's say that it's one of the fundamental forecasting techniques. Uh, is it the hello world equivalent of time series forecasting?
Well, actually, I think calling it the Hello World program of forecasting makes perfect sense because just as when you learn a new programming language or something, the first thing you do is make it type or print or whatever, Hello World. And that's just like you start, you make sure it's working, it's doing something. But of course, in a real situation, you would never be having it output hello world. And ARIMA is very similar. ARIMA is something you can apply to a forecast or to apply to a time series to get a forecast. And honestly, it isn't working very well. In time series forecasting, at least, ARIMA is usually not a top contender. It's a benchmark. It's very often outperformed by exponential smoothing. But it's the problem is, even if it's not top contender, it's in all the textbooks, and it's what you learn first if you learn about forecasting. You go to forecasting on Wikipedia. I haven't looked at the page in the recent past, but I would assume that ARIMA is still on there. Forecasting, here's ARIMA, here's exponential smoothing. So of course, when you write a new textbook on forecasting or a new tutorial, you need to write about ARIMA because everybody knows ARIMA, and so it gets perpetuated.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, ARIMA, well, it's and the advantage, of course, is that there are very good implementations of ARIMA. So there's auto ARIMA in the forecast and fable packages for R. I still use R, I have to admit. There is the older PMD ARIMA, and nowadays the mixed implementations of auto ARIMA for Python and everything else. Everybody has ARIMA, and there is a reasonably, and the current approach of selecting models by Akaike's information criterion and so on, that's very stable and gives quite satisfactory results, again, as a first baseline. Typically very often outperformed by exponential smoothing and doesn't deal with all kinds of forecasts, but it's a workhorse that you kind of need to know